Now, the latest from ITV News Meridian with Fred Dinage and Sangeeta Barbara.
Good evening to you. Welcome to ITV News Meridian.
Tonight's headlines in the south. More jobs to go, services to be cut. How Southampton is trying to balance the books and how it'll affect you.
What really happened to Cheryl? 20 years after a soldier's death, a deep cut, a new inquest to get to the truth.
There hasn't been an inquiry. 4 kids are dead. You know, how the hell can this be just pushed aside and move on?
The cost of a pint. Farmers warn that the dairy industry, like coal and steel, is heading to extinction.
And the FA Cup works its magic as 2 South Coast clubs battle it out to remain on the road to Wembley. Good evening to you. Almost 200 jobs are to go and services merged as Southampton City Council once again struggles to balance the books.
Today, council leaders confirm the scale of savings needed. 190 jobs will be axed this year, 40 immediately. And there's bad news for residents' pockets as council tax will rise by almost 2% for the 4th year running.
It's all to plug a £12 million financial black hole. £40 million needs to be saved over the next 4 years, as Juliet Fletcher now reports.
Scenes like this have blighted Southampton in recent years as council workers fear for their jobs. Now, the latest round of budget proposals. The council need to make £12 million worth of cuts this year, and there's more to come.
Going forward, we think that from here we've got to save another £40 million over the next 3 financial years. And that's largely because of rising demand in adult social care. We have 16% extra older people coming into the city over that period, and also rising demand in children's social care.
Part of the reason for the cuts is that funding from the government has gone down by 25% for the year 2016 to 17. The council have said they've already saved £1 million by cutting senior managerial jobs, but there are 190 posts to go.
They are feeling very, very despondent. I think, unfortunately, we've had year on year of cuts, so this is like our 5th year of having to achieve massive savings, and it does have a massive impact on staff morale.
I think they are a couple of years at least behind where they should be in their planning. This is not something they haven't seen coming. We knew that budgets were under pressure, and I think they should have done a lot more by now to ensure they were in better shape going forward.
Council tax will go up by 2% to help fund adult social care. It'll mean an increase of £26 a year on the average bill.
I think it's shocking. That's really all I can say.
I definitely know where I don't think there should be cuts made, or any more cuts made, would be in art and heritage industries, because I think there's enough pressure on those anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's any effect on libraries. We want the libraries kept open, definitely, because we use it all the time, don't we? Yeah.
The council will also make savings by moving some services online and using less agency staff, but it will be its own employees that could take the hardest hit. Juliet Fletcher, ITV News, Southampton.
Meanwhile, the leading stroke charity says planned funding cuts by East Sussex Council will be devastating for stroke survivors and their carers. The council, which faces a £90 million funding shortfall over the next 3 years, is proposing to withdraw its £80,000 annual funding to the Stroke Association. The council says no final decision will be made until February the 9th.
If we don't have these contracts, then these services aren't available, they aren't provided, and there's nobody else can fill that gap. So hundreds of stroke survivors will be denied support and help after stroke. It's a devastating disease, and the effects of it last a lifetime.
A A fresh inquest into the death of a young soldier at the Deep Cut Army Barracks in Surrey got underway today, more than 20 years on from her death.
Private Cheryl James, who was 18, was discovered with a gunshot wound. She was one of 4 teenage recruits to die at the barracks over a 7-year period. She was found dead in November 1995. Privates Sean Benton, James Collinson and Jeff Gray also died from gunshot wounds between 1995 and 2002.
Their families have long campaigned for a full inquiry after inquests which recorded open verdicts or verdicts of suicide. It follows claims of bullying and a climate of fear at the base. In 2014, the High Court ordered a fresh inquest into Private James's death.
Last month, at an earlier hearing, new evidence emerged to suggest that Private James may have been sexually exploited by senior ranks. Divya Kohli has our report.
Today is so significant for the family of Private Cheryl James, and that's because this is very much a long-awaited fresh start. The families of Privates Collinson, Gray and Benton will also be watching closely, as they may well push for a judicial review depending on the outcome of this inquest. The father of Private Cheryl James, Des James, arrived at court earlier this afternoon. He will be one of 80 witnesses the court will hear from over the next 2 months. Private Cheryl James died more than 20 years ago now, so the family will be pushing for answers.
The injustice is hard enough when you lose a child. I mean, it's, the only people who've lost children can tell you, really. And to lose an 18-year-old who had her whole life before you, and then you pile on top of that the injustice that even though she'd signed to protect us, to protect the country, yet when she dies, there is, for whatever reason, this concerted effort to avoid a proper investigation into her death.
Well, today the coroner, Brian Barker QC, said he wanted a full, frank and fearless inquest, that this inquest would explore when and where Private Cheryl James died, what happened on the evening of the 27th of November 1995, what happened before she died, and were there any third parties involved. These are just some of the questions that will be explored over several weeks. Private Cheryl James' last inquest took place just 3 weeks after she died in December 1995. Her family argued that it was rushed, it closed within an hour, and they weren't even there for the inquest. So this today marks a very big step forward for them.
Divya Kohli there. In other news, a 46-year-old woman from the Isle of Wight has been killed in a crash in Devon. 2 other people in the same car were seriously injured in the collision on the A35 Sharmouth Road at Axminster.
A 25-year-old man arrested following a number of sexual assaults in Southampton remains in custody tonight. Police are investigating 12 reported assaults by a man riding a bike, with the youngest victim 12 years old. They happened in the Millbrook, Lords Hill and city centre areas over the last 2 weeks.
A man armed with handguns robbed a shop in Hove. He went into Portland convenience store on Portland Road around midnight last night. He grabbed up to £200 in cash, as well as the shop worker's wallet and mobile phone.
Tesco staff have been threatened with a crowbar when they disturbed robbers at a petrol station in Dorset. 3 men wearing balaclavas broke into the shop in Blandford. Cigarettes were stolen and the men fled the scene in a white Audi TT. No one was injured.
ITV Meridian can reveal £145 million is being spent on a new generation of trains for the Gatwick Express that will also serve Brighton.
More than 100 carriages are being built and the first will enter service within weeks.
Our transport correspondent Mike Pearce has been given exclusive access on board one of the new trains.
These are the new trains that will carry millions of passengers a year on the Gatwick and Brighton line. We can reveal they're now undergoing final testing before they're introduced in just a few weeks' time.
In all, there are 108 carriages being built here at Derby at a cost of £145 million. One key benefit will be more and wider doors. That should get passengers on and off more quickly. In turn, that should help punctuality.
On the production line, hundreds of workers are building the new carriages for the Gatwick Express. They'll have Wi-Fi and more room for luggage. The interiors are bright and they're designed to have the maximum number of seats.
Even before the train arrives on the platform, they'll notice something different. It's a brand new bright red train, so easy for customers to identify they're getting onto the Gatwick Express service. On the train it's much brighter with state-of-the-art facilities, and also we're expecting the performance to be much better with these trains. They've got quicker acceleration, so overall passengers will see a much improved experience on the Gatwick Express.
The new trains will replace these carriages dating back 30 years, which are now outdated. The service, which takes half an hour to Victoria, was launched in 1984. To ease crowding, some trains also now go to Brighton. Gatwick say they'll provide a major boost for the airport.
It's going to mean that as we go through the year, more rail capacity, more 12-car trains, a lot more convenience for passengers getting to and from the airport by rail, and over 40% of our passengers choose to get to and from Gatwick by rail.
With testing almost complete, the new trains will soon start carrying 5 million Sussex commuters and airport users every year. Mike Pearce, ITV News, Derby.
And an £80 million upgrade of departures at Gatwick has been opened by Sussex MP Caroline Ansell. It's part of a £2 billion development at the airport. A new level has been created at the North Terminal to separate arriving and departing passengers, and new departure gates have been installed to create more space and allow new planes to use them.
I've always backed the second runway, essentially because it's more affordable, more sustainable and more deliverable. Our local economy rises and falls on its transport links, and for our visitors and for our international students and for our conference delegates, Gatwick is a very important player.
You're watching ITV News here in the Meridian region. Thanks for choosing us. Coming up.
Showbiz royalty. So which TV duo are invited to celebrate the Queen's big birthday at Windsor with all of us?
As always, for more on all of our stories, do head to itv.com/Meridian. Any views or news, we'd love to hear from you. 0808 1010 095, the number to ring, or get in touch via Facebook, or if you prefer, why not send us a tweet at ITV Meridian.
Dairy farmers are preparing to march on Downing Street in protest at cuts in milk prices, which they say is threatening their livelihoods.
Indeed, family farms with generations of history and tradition are either switching to other types of farming or taking on new businesses like bed and breakfast.
Well, a supermarket price war hasn't helped their cause, although it's been good news for customers. At the moment, you can get 2.2 litres or 4 pints for around £1. With the story now, here's Bob Cruz.
The farmers organising this demonstration in March say we shouldn't be under any illusion. Their industry is in absolute crisis. Another major buyer is cutting the price it pays for milk. Dairy farmers struggling already will be hit hard again. The chairman of the National Farmers Union's Dairy Board, Rob Harrison, has gone as far as calling the current situation a bloodbath, and he's urging all dairy farmers to consider seriously whether their business can actually survive this, and to make a proper plan of what to do if it doesn't. But this isn't just about the price of milk, it's not just about the dairy sector. Farmers say all parts of the agriculture industry must stand together to show the pressure they're under and the woes they're facing.
We have said we are not, as farmers, going to go the same way as coal and steel. We are going to fight for our industry, and I think we've got the backing of the British public. They want British food. They know where it comes from. They can have some control over it, how it's produced. That is why we're going to London, and I do hope that David Cameron and the team around him listen, because currently his ministers for our industry are not listening.
Previous Farmers for Action demonstrations have seen lines of tractors blockading supermarket depots, but this one will be different. A march on foot through London, no tractors, to deliver a serious message and a letter to Downing Street calling for David Cameron and his government to listen to the grassroots of agriculture and act now. Dairy farmers say they can't continue to produce milk at a loss, and it's inevitable that some will leave the industry in the coming months. But they say they are refusing to go down without a fight. Bob Cruz, ITV News.
Well, the MP, Heather Wheeler, knows full well about the problems of the dairy industry. She's the chairperson of the Dairy All-Party Parliamentary Group. Heather, thank you for joining us. Now, the problems of the dairy industry are well documented, but despite the publicity, there is no solution.
Yes, I think we need to turn this round the other way. Nobody has a problem with supermarkets using milk as a loss leader, but they must pay the right price to the processors and to the dairy farmers in the first place.
So what are you doing to change the situation that we're in currently?
Well, we held an inquiry last year and another one this year, and one of the ideas we've come up with is making sure that people have 3 lots of dairy products a day, like 5 fruit and vegetables a day, so yoghurt, milk, cheese, and it's very easy to do that. It's very important that we have particularly younger people making sure that they use these products as well. The over 65s understand it, but the under 35s don't seem to.
Now, dairy farmers are going out of business. Do you think we'll get to a situation where we can't satisfy our own demand for milk and we will have to go abroad?
I sincerely hope not. I want us to be really efficient in our farms, and in fact I think we've got an excellent opportunity to export, and DEFRA and UKTI have been very good about that, well-known example of going out to China.
Thank you so much for talking to us.
Pleasure.
It is precisely 16 minutes past 6. Thank you for being there for us. And the ITV Evening News continues the national and international news at 6:30. Here's a preview. Mark Austin.
Next week's junior doctors' strike is on. They'll walk out again for 24 hours on Wednesday the 10th of February, but will still provide emergency care. The new inquest into the death of a teenage recruit at Deep Cut Army Barracks. The coroner promises it will be full, frank and fearless. A big football story this evening. Manchester City reveal former Barcelona and Bayern Munich boss Pep Guardiola is to take over as manager. And more memories of Terry Wogan from his friends and his colleagues. Join Mary Nightingale and me at 6:30.
Thanks, Mark. We will now. It's time for the sport. And Fred, you know this. I know this. Andrew, Reading did okay, didn't they?
Reading, we all have to bow to the Royals.
Thank you.
Very good, along with the Cherries, yes. There are now just 16 teams left in the FA Cup, and 2 of them are from our region, as fans of Reading and Bournemouth dream of Wembley. That was after a bruising weekend, which saw the Cherries head to South Coast rivals Portsmouth. Sarah Gom has the action.
ITV Meridian Sports Report, sponsored by WeWantAnyCar.com, the Cash for Cars website.
Portsmouth fans more than any know 8 years is a long time in football. In 2008, the then Premier League team lifted the FA Cup. And now, after watching their club come perilously close to going under, they're happy to be competing for promotion from League Two and welcoming top-flight Bournemouth to a sellout Fratton Park. Despite their Football League status, though, it was Pompey who had the upper hand for much of this encounter with Premier League Bournemouth. And they were rewarded when, on the stroke of half-time, following an incredible 2-minute period of possession containing 48 consecutive passes, Gary Roberts sent home Mark McNulty's cross. The Cherries, though, did eventually show their top-flight credentials, sparked largely by Eddie Howe's double substitution of Matt Ritchie and Mark Pugh. Josh King headed the sides level, and Pugh's winner on 83 minutes earned Bournemouth their 5th-round tie at home to Everton.
I think it's important that you try and put your own stamp on things. You certainly respect the opposition, but I think if you believe in what you do, and you've got a group like that who believe in what you do, and they try and put that in practice, you're halfway there. So fingers crossed we can repeat that and do that more. But today they can be proud of themselves today.
Tough game, really tough game for us. First half we weren't very good. Portsmouth, I felt, were very good. Made it very difficult for ourselves. I felt we rode our luck at times during that first period. Full credit to them. But I felt we regrouped, and once we made the changes to the team, we're a lot better and we dominated the last spell of the game.
Sarah Gom, ITV News.
So joining Bournemouth in the 5th round are Reading, eyeing up another royal trip to Wembley. Sadly, though, Oxford United couldn't pull off another giant killing. Oxford saw off Premier League Swansea City in the last round. The Championship side Blackburn took control here when Joe Scars brought down Simeon Jackson. And Ben Marshall made no mistake. The visitors doubled their lead just before half-time when Tony Watt stroked home. And Marshall's free kick made sure Oxford United can now concentrate on their promotion push. Reading's Hal Robson-Kanu loves the FA Cup. His last 5 goals for the club have all come in this competition. The Royals reached Wembley and the semi-finals last season and took another step thanks to Mata Vidra's goal. American international Danny Williams added some sparkle with this surging run and finish. And Vidra finished off a fine day for Brian McDermott's men, hoping to go one step further this time out. So 2 of our sides have kept their FA Cup dreams alive, but it's likely both will have to beat Premier League opposition to get through to the quarter-finals. The last time Bournemouth hosted Everton in November, a Junior Stanislas goal in the 98th minute grabbed a 3-3 draw, while Reading will host either West Brom or Peterborough during the weekend of February 20th. Well, in the league this weekend, our dreams were somewhat crushed. In League One, Swindon were beaten at home by Barnsley, Scott Winnall scoring just 2 minutes from the end. While Crawley were caught out at a corner by Chris Beardsley and had keeper Callum Preston to thank for keeping the score down. It is, of course, transfer deadline day. We understand Bournemouth will complete the £200,000 signing of Sheffield United left-back Royce Wiggins, and we can confirm Brighton's Rowan Ince has joined Fulham on loan, while Oxford United have signed striker Chris Maguire after he was released by Rotherham. The window shuts 11 o'clock tonight. Footballers in Sussex are aiming to break the world record for the longest continuous football match in memory of 3 young footballers who lost their lives following the Shoreham air crash last year. The match at Lancing College follows the deaths of Matt Chaplin, Matt Grimstone and Jacob Schilt. The current record stands at 4.5 days and was set last June in Southampton, where the final score was 910 against 725. Close. Tough match. So good luck with that one. On the ice, the Basingstoke Bison returned to a 5-point lead at the top of the Ice Hockey Premier League table this weekend. The Bison beat Bracknell 3-2 before winning 5-3 away to Manchester. On Saturday, they'll look to consolidate their lead when they host 3rd place Peterborough. With 9 matches to go, you'd be a brave man to bet against the Bison.
And of course, Andrew, you're not a betting man, are you?
I wouldn't dream of such a thing.
So that £10 then that swapped our pockets after Saints beat Manchester United wasn't a bet?
No, I mean, there is a saying, isn't there, Fred? Something about a fool and his money. I don't know how it finishes or what it means, but so I've been told.
Nicely put.
Well got out.
Next round, tricky for Bournemouth and for Reading.
Yeah, very tricky, but Bournemouth are on such a good run, you never quite know, do you? And Reading have the pedigree in the Cup. So
will Eddie Howe make 10 changes again, do you think?
I don't think so. I think, the league is looking more secure and why not?
We might have a bet. Thank you, Andrew.
Possibly.
Thank you, Andrew. Now it's being billed as a huge party for the Queen, a star-studded show in the grounds of Windsor Castle to mark Her Majesty's 90th birthday.
Yes, and now it's been revealed the event in May, which will be broadcast live on ITV, will be hosted by Britain's most popular TV duo, Ant and Dec. As Rachel Hepworth reports, preparations are well underway in the Queen's hometown.
A fanfare of celebration as plans are announced to mark the Queen's 90th birthday. It'll be staged at one of her favourite events, the annual horse show, in her back garden here at Windsor Castle. Now it's confirmed that Ant and Dec, fresh from their documentary about the Prince's Trust, will host the live televised event.
What we're trying to do is give the Queen a celebration that involves some of her closest interests, the military, equine, the Commonwealth. All the people that are coming from all over the place, not just the UK but around the world, are so looking forward to it.
As well as acts from overseas, some familiar faces. Dame Helen Mirren, who famously won an Oscar for her portrayal of the Queen, Alan Titchmarsh, who spent a year filming in the Royal Gardens, and the singer Catherine Jenkins.
Whenever I've been asked to sing at occasions for in the past, it's always just been something that's been so incredibly special.
It's not just the Royal Castle on show. Windsor itself, which has more than 7 million visitors a year, will be under the spotlight. As with the Diamond Jubilee, special shop displays and street parties are planned.
We've been probably preparing since last summer. We know that the country is going to celebrate and we want to be part of that. We're very lucky in Windsor. Some of the events that we see, you won't see anywhere else in the world.
This is the Queen's home. It is her hometown, and we're quite used to seeing her around and about. But this is a very special occasion for her, and it's a chance for the town to celebrate with her.
The shows have long since sold out, but there'll be a pre-performance party here on the spectacular Long Walk on the final night. There'll be a ballot of 5,000 free tickets for a chance to see the celebrities and the performers and take part in this unique celebration. The Queen turns 90 on April the 21st and will mark that day with a walkabout in Windsor. The 4 pageants between the 12th and 15th of May are regarded as the main public celebrations when the royal family and TV royalty come together. Rachel Hepworth, ITV News in Windsor.
And we want to hear from you. If you've met Her Majesty and have photos and or video you can share with us, and let us know if you'll be joining in the celebrations with a street party. Contact us please at queen90meridian@itv.com. Let us know where you're from and please leave a contact number.
And Helen's with us now. Helen, you've had lots of pictures from our viewers because we requested them, didn't we?
Absolutely. We asked very nicely and they've done very well. So thank you to everyone. Of course, this weekend just gone was the Big Garden Birdwatch. This is the RSPB campaign to get everyone recording the species in their garden. I think you had a go, didn't you?
I spotted 1 magpie and I was looking desperately for 2.
Well, fortunately, our viewers did a bit better. Should we have a look? This one's from Gary Butler in Southampton. Of course, this is the spotted woodpecker, and would you believe he's partial to digestive biscuits?
So like it.
Absolutely. Fair play. And on we go. The next one, Phil, the pheasant. He's, well, as you can see, that's a bit of dog food in the corner of the screen there. That's from Jeff and Sandy. And last but not least, this majestic beauty.
Wow.
Tony in Littlehampton sent this in, but he says he'd quite liked to find a female peacock because this peacock's been frequenting gardens in that area for a couple of years now.
He is absolutely beautiful, isn't he?
Yes.
Let's find out if the weather forecast is going to be beautiful. Here it is now with Helen Plint.
That's us driving on, us driving off in France, and us outside a chateau.
Driving to Europe. Eurotunnel Le Shuttle sponsors ITV Meridian weather.
So not the most inspiring start to February, but some beautiful winter sunshine at Leap Beach this weekend. But from here on in, while temperatures take a tumble tonight, it'll be cool and windy with a fresh start tomorrow morning. Now, temperatures this week don't really know what they're up to. You can see highs there of 11 or 12 today, feeling particularly mild and muggy. But by Wednesday, look at that, quite a difference as the wind direction changes. But by the end of the week, while we return, bookending the week to this milder airflow, and while a fair amount more damp weather to come then. But between now and then, Storm Henry sitting to the north of us overnight, dragging in those strong winds, so really quite blustery, up to 40 miles per hour at times further north. But at least this blows away the clouds, so a damp start for some, but for the most part tomorrow we'll get away with a fair amount of brightness from the off, really. Some lovely sunshine to enjoy, just that little bit cooler, and all the while fairly windy. A quick look at the tide times now, and in Bournemouth tomorrow we're looking at 6:10 tomorrow morning, again just after 1:45 in the afternoon, and a very similar setup for Wednesday. I'll see you soon.
Eurotunnel Le Shuttle sponsors ITV Meridian weather.
Now details about what is coming up on tomorrow's programme, and just look at what happened on the A30 as a car aquaplaned across a dual carriageway in front of a lorry. We look at the new ITV series Car Crash Britain caught on camera.
Whoa! Whoa! Wait!
Ouch.
Dear, cameras on our cars and bikes are capturing the extraordinary and the downright scary. The motorcyclist there, by the way, thankfully was okay. We have a sneak preview at the programme tomorrow night here on ITV Meridian.
In just a moment here on ITV, we have the ITV Evening News with Mark Austin and Mary Nightingale.
Stacey Poole has our late news. Join her if you can. But for now, from the team here at ITV Meridian, thank you very much indeed for watching. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.